All right, today we are diving deep into Tara Westover's memoir, Educated. It's this incredible story about escaping a mental prison, but really what it's about is the true, often brutal cost of figuring out who you are.
Now, this question right here, it's everything. It's the central question of the entire book, and wow, is it a brutal one? It's the engine behind every decision, every single conflict, and every painful step Tara Westover takes. It's the high-stakes trade-off we're going to explore.
So to really get a grip on her escape, you've got to understand the prison she was born into. And look, this wasn't just some quirky or unconventional childhood. No way. This was a reality that was built piece by piece to stand against the outside world.
I mean, just think about how literal this isolation was. In the eyes of the government, Tara Westover basically didn't exist. Her classroom, a junkyard filled with twisted scrap metal, and her textbooks were scriptures, all interpreted through the paranoid lens of her survivalist father. This wasn't just living off the grid. It was like living in an entirely separate reality.
And this was maybe the first and most devastating lesson she ever learned. Her father's word wasn't just the law, it was reality itself. If he said a horrific injury wasn't because of his own recklessness, but was a test from God, then that's what it was. End of story. To question him was like questioning gravity.
And if you think that was bad, the next lesson was even more damaging. When her brother became violent, just abusive, what was the family's response? Silence. She was told to forgive, to forget, to be loyal. The story the family told themselves was more important than the dangerous truth of what was actually happening behind closed doors.
You know, in a world like that, something's gotta give, right? Something eventually has to break. And Tara's journey out, it didn't begin with some grand vision of success. It started with a desperate, almost animal, need for an exit.
Just try to picture this for a second. You're 17. You have never, ever set foot in a real classroom, and you decide you're going to study for the ACT. This wasn't about ambition, not in the way you and I think about it. This was a lifeline. She wasn't looking for a career. She was desperately trying to find a door, any door, out of that junkyard.
So she gets to Brigham Young University, and the culture shock is just immediate and absolutely brutal. Can you imagine being in a history class and having to raise your hand and ask what the Holocaust was? Her ignorance wasn't just academic. It was this constant public shame that screamed she was from another planet.
Okay, so this is the moment. This is where everything changes. Her education starts to shift from being this source of shame to becoming her greatest tool of liberation. It's the moment she stops just collecting facts and starts, for the first time, to build a new identity.
And it all started with this one piece of feedback from a professor. He wasn't criticizing her grammar, he was challenging her entire way of thinking. For someone who was taught that there was only one correct interpretation for everything, her father's, the idea that she could argue with a historian, that she could have her own interpretation, well, that was completely revolutionary.
And right there, that's when education became something totally different for her. It wasn't about finding the one right answer anymore. It became about intellectual independence. It was about learning to trust her own mind and realizing that curiosity was not a sin.
But, and this is a huge but, this liberation came at a staggering cost. As her mind opened up, the distance between her and her family grew from a crack into a massive chasm, and now she was facing an impossible choice.
So look, this is the core conflict, right? You've got these two worlds that she's trapped between. On one side, her family's reality, built on beliefs that never change, where loyalty is everything and abuse is just denied. And on the other side, her new reality, built on ideas you have to test, where truth is the most important thing and abuse has to be called what it is. These two worlds just could not exist together.
So when she finally makes that impossible choice, when she chooses her own reality and names the abuse, her family just cuts her off. And Westover makes it so clear in the book, this doesn't feel like a victory. It feels like a funeral. It's the mourning for the family and the love she had to leave behind to save herself.
You know, in the end, that PhD she earned from Cambridge, that's almost a footnote. The real victory, the real achievement, was internal. After a lifetime of having reality dictated to her, she finally grabbed the pen and became the author of her own story.
So, okay, how do we take all of this and actually apply it? Because this incredible story isn't just about her past, it's a powerful blueprint for our future. Let's call it the 2026 mindset, a way of thinking that we can start using right now.
See, for us, education in this new mindset can't just be about piling up degrees or certifications. It has to be an active, internal process. It's about systematically questioning the things we were taught and intentionally building our own way of seeing the world.
Okay, here's a really practical tool you can use to get started. It's called the belief audit. Just take a core area of your life, money, success, failure, whatever. Ask yourself, what was I taught about this? And then, here's the critical question. Is it actually true? Who taught me this, and were they even qualified to? It's a simple exercise, but wow, the results can be profound.
The key here is not just to consume information, but to really engage with it. Read books that actually challenge you. Force yourself to summarize the ideas in your own words. That's the only way you know you really get it. Argue with the author on paper. And most importantly, apply one new idea. Real education has to change how you act, not just what you know.
All right, let's just be really honest about the hard truth here. Yes, growth is painful. Questioning everything is painful. But you know what's worse? Stagnation. That is a slow death. Tara's story teaches us we all face a choice between two different kinds of pain. The pain of staying put or the pain of becoming who you're meant to be. Choose the pain that builds. And this might be one of the most liberating, but also one of the most uncomfortable messages in the whole book. There is no magic solution. No one is coming on a white horse to fix things for you. That responsibility is 100% your own. See, the thing is, you don't need rescuing. What you need is courage. The courage to learn what you don't know. The courage to doubt what you've always been told is true. The courage to leave people or situations that are holding you down. And maybe the hardest part, the courage to rebuild your life on your own terms.
So I'm just going to leave you with this one question. Starting from, literally less than zero, with her own family actively working against her, Tara Westover built a life of total intellectual freedom. So if she could climb out of that junkyard, what mountain is standing in your way?